Hello, and welcome to myfinanceteacher.org. Let's have a chat today about a couple of interesting news, starting with G7 striking with the global minimum tax rate. So far on corporations, but who knows? Perhaps in future that would lead to some sort of a global minimum income tax rate for you and me. Now, if you have a look at some of the details over here, that's right here, you'll see that the proposed global minimum tax rate is around 15%. And that's on all global earnings, not only the earnings made in the country where the headquarters is located, but on all global foreign earnings. One way of looking at the taxes is actually it's some sort of a price of residing and earning some income in a given country. And usually whenever entities collude together to fix up the market prices, those entities are called a cartel. A collusion of such entities is called a cartel. And there are antitrust laws that try to pursue and break up these sort of cartels. So the analogy here is that we have some sort of a government cartel of so far 7 countries that are colluding to fix up the tax rates, which means that it becomes more difficult for so far corporations to move from less favorable into more favorable tax jurisdictions, which doesn't sound to be too bad actually. But if in future unfavorable tax jurisdictions become predatory tax jurisdictions, it will still be difficult to move away from those predatory tax jurisdictions with the imposition and perhaps with a gradual rise of that minimum global tax rate. Again, talking about taxes, don't forget that we're already taxed by a range of governments all over the world in a hidden way, even besides the actual taxes we pay out of the pocket. That hidden tax is the seigniorage tax. That is the cost of inflation that hits your pocket. Look at a couple of these charts. The top one is the increase in the money supply, M2 money supply in EU. And the increase since early 2020 is actually around 15%. This is a considerable increase in, about a year and a half? And the situation is even more serious in the US, the bottom chart over here, where the money supply increase since the beginning of 2020 is around 30%. All of these extra measures on taxation, together with the trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars and euro and other currencies being printed, just tells me that the governments are strapped for money as the government debts are increasingly high and the interest rates on those debts are becoming a larger and larger percentage of the budgets. So in such times, one of the interesting concerns is freedom, which includes the ability to protect your savings from the erosion of the purchasing power by a hidden inflation tax. That's why jumping into Bitcoin with this a little bit ugly segue, I do have a very long-term hodl position in Bitcoin, which I don't sell even at such times when Bitcoin prices are dropping from $60,000 all the way down to around $30,000. And talking about Bitcoin, there's an interesting news which might turn out to be quite important over the years to come. Bitcoin is now a legal tender in El Salvador. I presume that's the picture of the president. Legal tender means that the courts recognize Bitcoin as a legitimate method of payment where the merchants cannot reject your payments in Bitcoin. As far as I understand, this is the first country in the world to make Bitcoin a legal tender, in this case alongside the US dollars. And of course, as Bitcoin becomes legal tender in El Salvador, as it becomes basically money, a form of money, there is no capital tax gains to pay on any appreciation of the value of Bitcoin. That's kind of quite interesting there as well. And also, as it's legal tender, you can pay your taxes in Bitcoin as well. All of that is pretty interesting, but there's more. There are some mutual benefits, I think, for Bitcoin network and for El Salvador. El Salvador, with its population of around 10 million people, if I'm not mistaken, adds these 10 million as potential new users to the Bitcoin network. Additionally, on the adoption side, perhaps Bitcoin might be used to help with some of the 6 billion annual transfers or remittances that go into El Salvador. And on the other hand, relatively low transaction costs as opposed to transferring money using such rip-off payments as Western Union, for example, will help low-income families in El Salvador to receive a little bit more out of those remittances. And lastly, around 70% of the population in El Salvador are unbanked. So clearly, legalizing Bitcoin and reducing the restrictions on its use can be very helpful to the majority of population in El Salvador. Besides, the money that you keep in the bank is not really your money. Try moving it abroad on a weekend, or better yet, even on a weekday. Try moving it to one of those countries that G7 don't like, such as, say, Russia. Even if you don't have any connections to the corrupt government in Russia. Due to the sanctions, of course, you won't be able to move your money. Then is it actually yours? So a bit of rant on freedom, on a lot of money printing, and some tax squeezes coming up our way.